Hey, you guys, my name is Mara Sullivan, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you have not checked out my first few videos, go do so. I think this is probably the seventh or eighth video that I'm posting. I am brand new to YouTube, and I'm really excited for this journey. I'm excited to keep recording videos, and yeah, my first few videos are about me starting YouTube before I'm ready, which basically means like I'm still working a 9 to 5. I work two jobs. I am recording these exhausted after work, believe it or not. I am not comfortable speaking on the camera yet, which is one of my main goals with this channel, is just to get comfortable speaking on camera and speaking on video format. I do have a podcast called Thoughts by Mara. It is audio only, and so I am used to very much behind the scenes. So being on camera is brand new for me. This is something that I've always wanted to do and that I'm excited to challenge myself and push myself to do. So that's what my first two videos are about, which I will be talking about on this video as well. I also talk about grief and a little bit of my story and my journey so far on my first couple videos. So like I said, check those out if you have not already. But welcome. In today's video, we are going to be talking about me turning 26, my quarter life crisis, some things that can help you guys if you are in your 20s and also going through a quarter life crisis, or no matter what age you are. If you're going through anything hard in general, I think you might get at least one takeaway from this video. I did lose my mom right after I turned 25 last year, so 2023. My mom passed away in November. My birthday is in October. So it was pretty much the ultimate quarter life crisis. Like, I turned 25 and then lost my mom, who, by the way, is my only immediate family. I do not have siblings. I'm an only child, and my dad has never been in my life. And so my mom was my only immediate family. And so it's been a year, to say the least. It has been a year. By the way, this outfit is my 26th birthday outfit. I am going to Vegas, baby, for my 26th birthday next week. I'm recording this on, what's today? October 15th. And so, yeah, I am going on a little birthday trip. So, this is going to be my birthday outfit. I don't fully know how I'm going to style this yet. It has a matching skirt, which obviously you guys can't see, but you will be able to see it on my Instagram. I'm not sure if I'm going to post this video before or after my trip, but it will be, in October of this year, 2024. But yeah, I'm not sure fully how I'm going to wear this. I think I'm going to keep the half up, half down look for the trip. And um, I don't know what jewelry I'm gonna have. I know I want to get like some armbands, arm cuff situation for the arms, but yeah, that's why I'm a little dressed up today. I wanted to record this video in my birthday outfit, not my birthday suit, but in my birthday outfit. I'm probably gonna do like a separate video on my hair because I do get a lot of questions on my Instagram. I have the tiniest Instagram, you guys, because I kept my Instagram on private for the entire time I had it. So my Instagram is very, very small. And I've also just been a private person in general for so long, but I didn't even take it off. I didn't make my Instagram public until I started my podcast last year, and so that is at Thoughts by Mara. If you want to check it out, I do have tons of pictures, tons of content on there that you guys can check out as well. But you'll see the full outfit on my Instagram. And so yeah, that is a little bit about me. Like I said, in today's video, we are going to be talking about my 25th year. We're doing a little recap what I've learned. Is going to be very grief heavy, disclaimer. Like, I will be talking obviously a lot about my quarter life crisis being grief specific, but also just other things that I have been through and going through just as a girl in my 20s in general. And so that's today's video. I'm going to be talking about turning 26, which is, I consider the second half of my 20s. I consider it like being on the road to 30, and that's kind of crazy. But without further ado, let's just jump in. Like I said, 25 for me was the ultimate crisis, or has been the ultimate crisis. I turned 25 last October. My mom passed away in November. I do have a full recap on the actual day that my mom passed away. I do a story time where I get into all the details of that day, and it was the day before Thanksgiving. And so go watch that video. Don't watch it if you're like already in a not good place, because it's obviously a sad story, but I do have a story time on that video to help anyone, like I said, who might be going through the same thing, or just want some details about that day, and how I handled it and what I went through that day was so crazy. But we are coming up on 1 year, which I think is also a reason why I'm starting this channel now in particular, because I do want to do things that are getting me out of my comfort zone, that are challenging me. Like I said, my main thing with this channel is that I have been so scared for so long speaking on camera, speaking in front of the camera. I actually recorded this particular video a few days ago, and my microphone wasn't on. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm making sure that my mic is on. But I recorded the whole video, completely different vibe. But I'm glad that I ended up recording it, having to re-record it. I could have kept it the same thing and just put it out there, even though the audio wasn't 100%. But I wanted to re-record it, and I'm glad because in that video I'm like just completely different. Obviously, I'm not wearing my birthday outfit in the other video I recorded, and so I'm glad that I'm re-recording this. But 25 was a lot, and so from last November when my mom passed away until now has literally been a roller coaster. I have done so many different things. When it comes to grief in particular, it sounds weird, but I am someone who kind of grew up going to funerals because my church is really big. Like I grew up in a quote unquote mega church. And so my church was really big. So it sounds horrible, but there was always someone dying. And my mom had been in that church since she was really little. And so I kind of grew up. There were a lot of older people in my church. And so I kind of grew up, as weird as it sounds, going to funerals. And my family also used to own a funeral home. So my mom's like I it wasn't around when I was born, but my mom grew up in a funeral home. So death is not new to me, not new to my family. It became pretty normalized for me at a young age. And so I kind of had that mindset. Um, I think the hardest thing for me has been the just shock of it because my mom had a heart attack. She didn't have any previous, like health conditions. Um, and so it was just super shocking to say the least. And like I said, it's been a year in every sense of the word in so many different ways. So yeah, that has been 25 for me. And I think that the main thing that has helped me to keep going has been through art in every single form. Whether my podcast has helped me keep going, I always say my podcast is my therapy. That's where I talk everything out. Even though I have not been as consistent with it this year as obviously as I wanted to be because I've had to work more because I'm 100% on my own now. Like I said, I have no immediate family. I have an amazing, you know, support system with my extended family and great friends, but there's nothing like having siblings or parents, and I don't have either one. And so it has literally just been me, and I think that's been one of the biggest things that I've had to face this year is that you're on your own, kid. Like that's literally been the hardest part of my quarter life crisis, if you will. It's been grief has been hard, obviously, but I think what's been just as hard is not having any immediate family. And I think the number one things that have been helping me with that, like I said, has been through art and obviously hanging out with as many people I love as possible, as much as possible. Even if it's just like talking on the phone, even if it's just texting, just making sure that I stay connected to the people, places, and things that I love. And I've in my podcast, reading books. I'm gonna talk about Suleika Jawad in every single one of these videos. I already know I am. She has the book called Between Two Kingdoms. That is amazing. If you have been through any kind of grief, loss, death, life or death situation, even if you haven't, even if you've just been through a hard circumstance in your life in general, that book is incredible. If you do not know, Suleika Jawad is a cancer survivor. She had leukemia in her 20s, like early 20s, very young, and it went into remission and then it came back again. And she's just been up and down with her story and her, survival story, her survival journey. And I obviously it's a different kind of grief because she herself was facing death or has been facing death for so many years. But I, for some reason, I've just related to her book and her story so heavily. Even though, like I said, two completely different situations, two completely different versions of grief, but her books, her writing. She's also John Batiste's wife, who is one of my favorite musicians on the planet. I just saw him. And so, yeah, if you are going through anything or know someone who is, I highly, highly, highly recommend the book called Between Two Kingdoms by Suleika Jaouad. That book, her, between her story and John Batiste's music have been one of the things that have literally kept me going this year. I have found so much inspiration in music and in art specifically that it really has been literally a lifesaver for me. And no matter what you are going through right now, whether it's just navigating your 20s, I'm also going to talk about my friendships. Well, I can just talk about it right now. My friendships and relationships in general have changed a lot this year, and I think that that's natural as you get older. As we, finish school, we don't have those built-in best friends anymore, those built-in friend groups anymore. Especially like if you move or you know, move to a different place, move to a different city, just get disconnected from people. Some of you guys are married, some of you guys have kids. Like everyone's in such different life places in your 20s specifically that I think it all can get overwhelming and confusing. And don't even get me started about dating. That's gonna be a whole nother that'll be a whole nother video. But the 20s are chaotic, and when it comes to this quote unquote crisis that many of us face, I think a big part of it is because the friendships do change and we outgrow friends. Um, Friends get, like I said, into different life phases. People have families now and are starting, you know, new careers, and just everyone's in such a different place. And so I think that's a big part of it. One of the main things that has helped me with that has been being a part of communities. And so for me, my church is my number one community. That's, still where I have my longest lasting friendships from. I'm really blessed to have been in the same church my entire life. But I grew up in a really church heavy city, if you will. I live in Baltimore, and at the time when I was growing up, like late 90s, early 2000s, this city was literally on fire with churches. And so I didn't just grow up in my church, I grew up in a lot of, other kind of like big churches as well. And my mom was someone who just loved visiting, all different churches. And I was just always in church. I was in church every single day of my life as a kid. And so I know that that sounds crazy or, might sound overwhelming. And I know a lot of people who grow up like that, it, the opposite happens where, like, instead of getting super into church or closer to God, you tend to get sick of it or turn away from it. Um, for me, it was just, I just love the worship experience in general. Like, I love the whole idea of it. And like I said, I grew up going to funerals. And so when my mom passed, as devastated as I was or as I am, it, it was normalized for me that death is a part of life. And so that's another reason why I wanted to start this channel, at this time in particular, because it has been a year and there's been so much that I've learned as a kid until now that I didn't know, was such a big part of me. And I didn't know was so like deep in me and instilled in me, like scriptures like, for me to live as Christ and to die as gain, and to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, like stuff like that that I've been hearing my entire life. I didn't know how much I was gonna need it. I didn't know, um, those songs like "We'll Understand It Better by and By," or my favorite Andre Crouch song is "Through It All." I thank God for the mountains. I thank Him for the valleys. I thank Him for the storms He brought me through. If I never had a problem, I would not know God could solve them. I would not know what faith in His word could do. All of that stuff has been a part of me my entire life. And so it's not that having that in you makes loss or grief any easier. It's just that, you have a foundation, you have something to stand on when things happen. And for me, my faith has been massive for me this past year, especially. I am closer to God now than I was before my mom passed. And I know that sounds crazy because a lot of times faith is the number one thing to go out the window when bad things happen to us. And a lot of people, get really mad at God, question God, which I have no problem with. I think we should ask God questions. Honestly, I am not scared to be like, what the hell are you doing? Sorry to have say hell and God in the same sentence, but what are you doing? Like, I have no problem doing that. And honestly, he shows me. Like, might sound crazy, but I'm really a huge believer in everything happens for a reason, good and bad. And I always say, believing in God does not mean bad things won't happen to you. It means when they do happen, He will give you the strength to go through them. And that was something that I've been really standing on this year. And that's something that I used to say before this happened, before I lost my mom. But that I know for a fact, like even more now. And I want to keep doing YouTube. I want to keep putting these videos out there, because I want to share my story and I want to help at least one other person to know that grief one doesn't look one kind of way. And like I've still been enjoying my life. I've still been having fun. I'm still me. I'm still in my 20s and I want to take risk and I want to, like I said, have fun and I want to enjoy my life. And I don't want my whole life to be on pause. And I think I want to share that with people. You don't have to get stuck when bad things happen. I don't want, because I know my mom wouldn't want me to do that, number one. And number two, like I said, just growing up in church, I've been taught my whole life, that, God is in control. Even when I don't trust God, even when I don't understand God, I trust Him. And that's stuff that's in me. Like I can't explain it any other way except that when you grow up with that, it just gets in you. And I know it's not like that for everyone, but it's been like that for me. Like the stuff that I was taught as a kid, I really believed because I saw it. I've seen miracles. I'm a miracle baby. I'll probably do a separate episode on, or a separate video on my whole birth story, which is crazy within itself, but I've been through a lot, and I think that being in our 20s, faith is one of the main things that, gets questioned in our adulthood. And I don't care what or who you believe in, but I'm sharing what has worked for me. And if you're looking for hope, if you're looking for inspiration, if you're looking for, um, I don't know, if you're looking for just something to help you through a difficult season or a difficult time in your life, through a quarter life crisis, give Jesus a try. Just the old folk used to say, just try him. Have you tried him? You know, and just give him a try. And I think that, you know, everything is different for everyone, but that my faith has been the number one thing that has kept me this year. Because if I didn't have that foundation, if I didn't have that, like I said, scripture already instilled in me, um, those hymns already instilled in me, those gospel songs and worship songs, all that stuff means a lot. And my mom was someone who didn't just go to church for other people. She never did. And she was all about having a relationship with Jesus Christ, having a prayer life, you know? And that's just what I know. That's what I grew up around. I didn't grow up in a super religious or strict household, believe it or not. Even though I was in church and I was raised to have that relationship with God, my mom wasn't super strict. Not when she had me. I heard when she was younger, it was different. But again, I've always been a lover of art. And so art was my first love. Fashion was my first love when I was a kid. And I think my mom saw that. And so she never used church or used God to, I guess, condemn, the things that I loved, because I loved this before I even knew what it was. Obviously social media wasn't a thing back then, but I've been so drawn to the creative and to art and to artists. And so my mom did not stop me from listening to music or watching movies or things that were quote unquote secular. She knew how in love with fashion I was, and so she would, subscribe me to Vogue and let me watch. We watched Project Runway together, like every single season. I just met Bishme from Runway, who won last season. That was actually the last season my mom and I watched together, and I don't believe in coincidences, and I just got to meet him last week. And so I'm really grateful that I grew up kind of that way where it wasn't like fire and brimstone, but my mom was like, here's something that might be able to help you for the rest of your life or help you through your life. She was never shoving it down my throat. She just exposed me to church and let me grow up in that environment. But she was never like, I can't explain, like, she was never super strict with it, if that makes any sense. And so, I that's just how I grew up. And so I've just always been a lover of art and church. And it's not that I never separated the two, it's just that I grew up loving the two. And so those two have been the things that have saved me through this grief process, have been art and church and my relationship with God. And so I would say my quarter life crisis has been saved by those two things. And when I say art, I mean music, I mean books, I mean TV shows, movies, like my comfort movies, and just anything creative, listening to other artists tell their stories. I have been obsessed with podcasts. Like I said, I have my own podcast. Um, Questlove Supreme. If you guys do not know, Questlove, the drummer, has a podcast that is incredible. He has interviewed everybody, like everybody from the Jacksons to Kathy Hughes to, like, you name a top influential person, they've been on that show. Like, just hearing people's stories has been one of the main things that has also helped me through my 25th year or my quarter life crisis or through grief in general, has been listening to people's stories, because I love hearing how the people that I look up to and admire the most, like a John Batiste, like Suleika, like, um, I'm a huge Kenny G fan. Like, those people who I have always looked up to my entire life. I have an old soul, by the way, you guys. Like, even though I am turning 26, I feel like I'm 80, and going through a lot at a young age will do that to you. Honestly, I had to grow up fast, but also just naturally, I have an old soul. Like, everything that I'm attracted to is the taste of someone in their 80s. Like, literally, I'm a grandma. Like, I'm literally a grandma. As much as I'm trying to embrace being younger, hence the outfit. Like, I have to remind myself how young I am a lot of the time, because I won't get dressed up. I won't, you know, do things that people my age do if I don't kind of, like, not force myself, but if I'm not intentional about doing those things, I won't, because I'm such a, like I said, behind the scenes, homebody, grandma, drink my tea, watch my shows, go to work, come home, go to church, then that's it. Like, and when I do, I've also always been someone who, like I said, I love art. And so, and I started working very young. And so I loved, being able to do a lot for my mom at a young age, that do things for her that she wouldn't have done for herself. And I think that's also been a saving grace for me. I've been trying to find the silver linings in grief. And I would definitely say that if you're going through something, just try to remember the good, that did happen. Or I love what Les Brown says. He says, don't be sad that someone died. Be happy because they lived, or be glad because they lived. And obviously, we're all going to be sad, but there, everything is about perspective. And I think I've learned a lot about how you view things is what they are. Like, everything is about perspective, and it doesn't have to be as devastating or traumatizing. And there are moments when I can't get out of bed because the grief is so heavy. Grief is extremely heavy. It is draining, it is exhausting. And I'm not saying all of this to say that the grief isn't there, but it's there big time. But there have been so many things and so many ways that I've been able to push through and to keep going and to still enjoy my life. I think that's really the point that I'm trying to make in this video, or with this whole, like, channel, is to encourage people to keep living, to keep showing up, to keep pursuing your dreams, to keep doing whatever it is that you want to do, even when bad things happen. It doesn't have to stop your entire life. And going back to, my mom, I know that she would not want me to put my entire life on hold. She would be like, live your life. Her work is done. And I can literally hear her saying that to me, like, my work is done. Everything that she was put on this earth to do, she did it. But I'm not done yet. I think all of us that are still here, it's for a reason. And I know, as cheesy as that sounds, none of us are around or alive. At least I don't believe that any of us are here by chance or by luck, or I really, really do wholeheartedly believe that if you're still here, it's for a reason. It's because your work is not done. And I do believe that the people who are, taken from us, their work is done. And I think it's extremely hard for people to accept that or believe that. But I do believe it. I do believe it, no matter how young or old a person is, not discrediting, anybody's grief situation or where you might be. But I really do believe that everything happens for a reason, the good and the bad. And like I said, I'm just sharing some things that have helped me through this year in particular. It has been rough. But like I said, art has been the number one thing that has saved me. I think leaning into everything that you love and that you want to do is something that helps 100% when going through something hard. If I did not already have my podcast when my mom passed, I I would be in, you know, traditional therapy, which I am an advocate for. But my podcast has really been my outlet. I am a journaler. I have a lot of therapeutic things going on in my life, and I had those practices in my life already. And so if you don't have healthy habits yet, I highly recommend to make sure you get them. Whether that is going to therapy, I'm again advocate for therapy, advocate for counseling, especially grief counseling if you're going through a really hard time when it comes to navigating grief. But yeah, for me, my podcast has been my number one outlet. Having a creative outlet for me is my therapy. And that looks different for everyone because everyone's not going to want to jump on camera and tell their story. And it feels therapeutic to them. Like, this does feel therapeutic to me. Everyone's not going to want to jump on a microphone and tell their story like I do with my podcast. And everyone's not going to want to write a book like Suleika has done with, her cancer story. But having a creative outlet has worked or is working for me. But you have to find what works for you. You have to find what works for you. You have to find healthy ways to cope. You have to find healthy ways to move forward. You have to find healthy ways to manage, because if you don't, we all know what happens. You turn to substances that are not good for you. You find comfort in things that are not good for you. And so for me, when I say that art has been my lifesaver, that's what I mean. I mean that having a creative outlet has been the only thing that's kept me going this year. That and God been the only things keeping me going. And I have I love taking pictures even more now. I love, even like I said, posting on Instagram even more now. Like I said, my Instagram was on private for so long, but I have leaned into everything that I really, really love. Jazz has been like huge for me in this season. I didn't even notice it. I talked about this in other videos, but jazz I did not know until, or I didn't realize until I was sitting at the John Batiste show when in Radio City in New York, that my mom's name is Melody, like Melody. And so again, I don't believe in coincidences. Music has been so therapeutic for me, specifically John Batiste and Kenny G, as cheesy as that is, who I also just met. Which again, I don't believe in coincidences. I literally met John Batiste and Kenny G like 2 weeks apart from each other. Go listen to the recap on that on my podcast. But it's been so crazy. It's been such an interesting year. This year has gone by really fast, and not like 2024. I mean, like from November until last November until this one, or last October until this one, um, has gone by fast. And I think I'm just now allowing myself to process everything that I've been through, because I was in survival mode after my mom passed. Like, I was like, it is just me now. I got to keep it going, and I'm still in that, but now I'm kind of like, whew, like we made it through 1 year, and this is only year one. I have the rest of my life without my mom. That part is harder for me, I think, than anything else. Is thinking about having to live the rest of my life without my mom. But like, I do believe, hopefully she can see me. I believe that she's always with me, And like I those are the things that really just, keep me going and still give me hope and keep me smiling, and still just help me to keep moving forward. um like I said, I really just try not to let myself stay stuck. And you do need days where you let, like, I am a cry. I'm a very emotional person, you guys. Like, I am a Scorpio. How I'm feeling, you're going to see it on my face, which is another reason why I've been so scared to do video, because I have a great poker face, but if I'm not trying, you're going to know how I'm feeling on my face. I'm a Scorpio. What can I say? You know? And so, yeah, so that has been like 25. I've learned so much this year. When it comes to body image and confidence, which I know is something that a lot of people face in your 20s, especially, I personally have my weight is fluctuating like a mofo. Okay. Like, again, this is a grief thing, but it's also just a being in your 20s thing. My work schedule is so crazy and so chaotic right now. I'm working two jobs, and I can't work out every single day, at least not as much as I want to. I'm very active. I work with children. I work in customer service, and I also nanny, and so I'm chasing kids basically 7 days a week. But I'm not on my treadmill every single day like I want to be. I'm not weightlifting every single day like I want to be. I will say eating when my mom first passed was rough, because she did pass in November, which is right at, it is the holidays. She literally passed away the day before Thanksgiving. So I'm not eating. First, I had no appetite at all. Then Christmas came, and my Christmas for me is sugar. Like, I love sugar. I love chocolate. Like, give me all the baked goods that you could possibly give me. So that was Christmas. And then, like, it's just one big holiday. And then there's New Year's, which I also love to eat. I love food. I love to eat. I love food. And so I'm picky, but what I like, I really, really, really like. And so dealing with like weight gain and then weight loss, because again, when I'm grieving or when I'm really have those moments or those really bad days, I don't want to eat. But then when I do, I try to eat everything. And it's like, that can get crazy sometimes, but I am glad that I had already again established a lot of healthy habits before my mom passed, so that I knew what I needed to do to kind of like bring myself back. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not at my ideal weight right now, which might, people have their different opinions, but I know where I feel most comfortable with my body personally. And I am like comfortable right now, but I want to be more fit. I want to be more toned. I really want to start weightlifting. I want to have some muscles here, you guys. I got a little flab right here. I want muscles. Um, and so, as confident, as I am, and as happy as I am with my body, me and my body been through a lot, y'all. As happy as I am with it, um, I still want to make improvements, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that even though the body positivity thing is great, it has made people, not even want to talk about weight, or which I don't think you should, depending on how you're bringing it up or how you're talking about it. But that has been something that I would say I've struggled a little bit with this year. Not much, like I said, because I already had healthy habits in place before my mom passed. But obviously, again, I love food. Food is comfort for me, and so um, when I have those really bad days, I have the beginning of this year ordered in a lot more than I do now. So I would say like January to maybe like May ish, I was ordering in like takeout fast food a lot. I will say the summer I kind of honed it in, and right now I'm like much better just figuring things out. Again, I've always been like a high protein, low carb has worked the best for me and for my body. I love intermittent fasting. I love how my body feels when it gets a break. Um, so those are like habits that I already had instilled in my already have been a part of my life prior to last year, and so I know what works best for my body. I know what makes me feel the best. I just have to do it and be consistent in doing it. And so I'm just giving myself grace and just doing the best that I can. And just, not forcing, but making sure that I'm showing up for myself. And sometimes that looks, I'm from, again, Baltimore. Sometimes that looks like a crab cake, and sometimes it doesn't, Like, if you know anything about Baltimore, we have chicken boxes here, and our wings are just unmatched. And so our food here is so good. But yeah, I've just been trying to make sure that I am reeling it in. I have not ordered. I'm trying to think of the last time I actually ordered in fast food. I don't think I have at all the past like 2 months, which is really good. Yeah, now that I think about it, obviously I'm about to go on a trip for my birthday, so everything I just said is going right out the window. um, but I am really excited to turn 26. I know that this video is kind of long, but I'm a podcaster, you guys, and so I'm used to long form content. And so I am sorry. I am going to probably have to get used to condensing everything that I'm saying for video. But let me know how you guys feel about it down below. But I am a podcaster. That's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. And so me talking and rambling is something that I'm used to doing. And I know I'm probably going to have to figure out how to do that less on video. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Um, but turning 26 for me, I'm very excited about, because 25 was so hard. It was so traumatic. But it was also so much fun, which I do want to talk about. Like, no matter what you're facing right now, if you are in your 20s, or if you clicked on this video, you clicked on it because you're likely in a quarter life crisis, want to know about a quarter life crisis, going through something in your 20s, or you're going through grief, or whatever the case may be, you're likely young. Like, again, I think we need to remind ourselves how young we are. Like, I am a certified grandma. Like, I know what it's like to not want to leave the house. I know what it's like to not want to get dressed. I know what it's like to um honestly I have a tiny friend group. I can count the people that I'm super close to on one hand. I know what it's like to not have much of a social life. I know what it's like to be single. And so it's just, you got to remind yourself how young you are. Like, if you're still going through something, a lot of times when we're younger, everything feels like the end of the world. Everything feels like the end of the world. And I think we got to remind ourselves, one, if you're in your 20s, you've never been an adult before. Like, we just got here. Give yourself some slack. Like, we just got here, you guys. Like, we are brand new to adulthood. We have survived a lot of world trauma. And so, all of that stuff, even if you haven't been affected by, the things that have happened, I mean, we were all affected by the pandemic, but, recessions and elections and, just all of the world like chaos and trauma that we have been raised in. I'm Gen Z, like, if you fall into anywhere on that category, like being born in the late 90s, early 2000s group, as a world, we've been through a lot. We've been raised in a really hot mess situation. I know there are people who may be watching this in another country. I'm in America. We got a lot going on over here. We got, to say the least. Like, we got a lot going on over here. And so I think you have to sometimes just cut all the noise out and, one, get very clear about who you want to be, get very, very clear about where you want to go, what you want to do, what you want your life to look like, and stop making excuses for yourself. I have been starting and stopping this YouTube channel for so long. I've recorded so many videos that I haven't put out, just because I've been scared, for fear. Like, I have let fear hold me back. Not going into the rest of my 20s, okay? This is me coming out of my quarter life crisis, because I refuse to let fear hold me back. I refuse to let anything negative or bad hold me back from doing the things I want to do. I want to take risks. Like, you can get away with a lot in your 20s, okay? You can get away with a lot when you're young. That includes taking risks. I know it feels like, you might have pressure from other people, from parents, teachers, coworkers, friends, like whatever the case may be. You have to make up in your mind, what do you want to do with your life? And for me, I know that there are certain, going back to grief, I love the legacy that my mom left behind. I loved the things that people have been able to say about her. And that really got me thinking, what do I want people to say about me when I'm no longer here? And that made me think a lot about legacy and what I want to leave behind. And one of those things is, having some type of documentation of my life. That has been through my podcast and now doing YouTube. I want to just try. You know what I mean? Like, I think, again, we can get adulthood in general is so serious, and we can get so uptight, and we can really forget how young we are. Like, if you're in your 20s, this is prime time. Okay, like, we gotta remember, there's a quote that says youth is wasted on the young. Do not let youth be wasted on you. You're not doing that. Okay, if you are watching this, it is for a reason. And especially if you are in your 20s watching this, and if you're sad and if you're going through hell, I'm right here with you. But we're going to still live our lives. We're still going to be happy. We're still going to be young. We're still going to be hot. We're going to have fun, and we're going to be sad, and we're going to cry, and we're going to have bad days, and we're going to eat the ice cream, but we're going to have fun. We got to, life is everything all at once. I learned that from John Batiste and from Suleika. But life is everything all at once. I heard John Batiste say that there are no like good days and bad days and high times in life and low times in life. It is all the times, all the time. Like, it is all the times, all the time. Like, everything is happening all at once. The good and the bad are not, codependent. They're not well, they are codependent. They're not separate from one another. They coexist. Everything is always happening. Even with, for example, with me right now, I know that I don't want to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life, but I'm doing it right now. And yes, I'm exhausted. And yes, I've been working for a very long time. And yes, I had to grow up fast. And yes, my mom died and I have no immediate family. I am going through the bad while also going through some of the best times of my life. I just met people. I just met Kenny G, you guys. Like, I met people this year. I met Israel Houghton this year. I met Adrienne Bailon Houghton this year. I've made some of the best memories. I was in my first wedding, like in my first friend's wedding this year. Like, I went on my first bachelorette trip this year. There's so much that has been happening in the midst of all the SHIT that I can't like let myself say that this year has been bad. Even though it has been bad, it's been very, 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 very good in a lot of different ways. Do I wish some things were different? Yes. Am I also grateful for everything that I have done at 25? Yeah. Like, I am. And I think going into 26, I'm really focusing on being proud of myself because that's not something I'm great at. Like, I don't really acknowledge how much I've been through because I have so many other people in my life who I feel like are, or they feel like are going through worse. And is the comparison like, who are we to compare traumas? I mean, that's something we should never, we should never be comparing our hurt to other people's hurt. And so I feel bad when I kind of be like, acknowledge how much I'm going through because I'm like, oh, that person has it so much worse, or they've been through so much more, or that person lost their parents so much younger than I did. Like, who am I to complain? And I'm just now starting to acknowledge the fact that even though other people have gone through a lot, are going through a lot, that does not have to discredit what I have been through. And it's okay for me to admit that I've been through a lot. It's okay for me to admit that I have struggled and am struggling. It's okay for me to admit, um, I've always been I've always been someone who hasn't really taken myself too seriously, or at least tried not to. And that's something that's come, as I've gotten a little bit older. I did used to take myself seriously. I did used to care what other people think, but it's like I don't know, because I've been independent for a while, you just get more confident. And for me, that means just not taking myself too seriously. But sorry, you guys, I go off on tangents. Again, I have a podcast. This video thing is very new to me, so I'm going to ramble. Sorry. But thank you for being here if you are still here. But I said all that to say that, one, life is everything all at once, and we're supposed to be still having fun. And like, you got to take that quote from Fences. You got to take the quickest with the straights. I'm a huge believer in that. There's so many different things that, we haven't done yet. We have no idea what's coming. We have no idea, the things that we're going to do. I really, really encourage you to think about the legacy that you want to leave behind. I'm very excited about going into 26. Like I said, I'm going to focus this year on being more proud of myself and letting myself know that it's okay to acknowledge the fact that I have been through a lot, am going through a lot. And even though other people have been through things and are going through things that may seem so much worse, that it's okay for me to still, you know, complain when I want to complain, or feel sorry. I hate the phrase feeling sorry for myself, but it's okay for me to do that when I need to do that. And just to acknowledge that, like I said, that I've been through quite a bit. And um I am focusing this year, my 26th year, on being proud of myself for everything that I've handled, everything that I have done, everything that I am doing, getting out of my comfort zone, starting this channel. This is the first video that I'm recording without notes, by the way, you guys. Like, that in and of itself is huge for me. I'm probably still going to use notes in a lot of future videos, but something about this being my birthday video, I wanted it to be more free. I wanted it to be a little bit more fun. And so you guys get to know me a little bit more, see a little bit more of my personality, which I think is a lot easier to do if I'm not trying to read from a script. I think that's also going to be the number one thing that's different, obviously, besides this being video. Different from my podcast is that I'm really, really going to try not to rely so much on my notes. My podcasts is basically, I almost like script them. Like, I heavily outline my podcast before I record. And with YouTube, I want it to be a little bit more free. I want it to be, you feel like you're out with a girl, like with one of your girls. Like, I want you to feel like, I'm right here with you and that we're together, because High School Musical, we are all in this together, okay? And I just want to use this year to, like I said, be proud of myself. I want to use 26 to acknowledge, that I have been through a lot, and it's okay to give myself grace, and it's okay for me to take care of myself more, and to, I've always been pretty good at asking for help. Like, I try not to ever like shut people out. But being an only child, I'm used to being by myself. I'm used to handling a lot by myself. I'm used to being very independent, and just doing even more of opening up to people and letting them be here for me, which I'm proud of myself for doing that this past year. And with grief, I've really tried my best to let the people who want to show up for me show up for me. And I've really tried my best to not shut people out. I've really, just tried to have a leave the door open type of personality. Not with everybody, because I do have very strong boundaries with people who I know. I have like pretty strong discernment, and I read people pretty easily. And so I have people with, all kinds of people come around when somebody dies, especially if you black. If you know, okay? Um, all kinds of people come out the woodwork when somebody dies, okay? Some people don't be knowing how to act. So my boundaries are very, very strong. But with the people who I know have the capacity and are willing to be there for me, I've really tried to let them and just accept help. And I want to continue to do more of that, because I never want to um, get in like that strong friend. I take care of everybody, but I never take care of myself. And I could see myself becoming that person. And because my mom was that person a lot of the time, and part of her having a heart attack, I know deep in my heart, was because she would take care of everybody else but herself. Because my mom was just, that black woman born in the 60s who was just used to being in survival mode her entire life and taking care of everybody, and have been through so much. And although, like I said, I started working very early, I tried to do everything I could to take the load off of my mom. It was just in her to never slow down, and she got some rest, but not a lot. My mom did not know how to take a break. And I think that that's true for so many women in our community. If you look like me, that's true for most women in our community, especially. I know that it's true for women and men, or however you identify. All are welcome here, by the way. But no matter, how you identify. That's true for most just humans in general, but especially Black women do not know how to slow down. And there's so many things that I want to get into on this channel, and that's going to be like one of the main ones. But said all that to say, again, you guys know I go off on tangents, but I want to focus on being proud of myself, letting people be there for me, making sure that um, I continue to have good boundaries with people, but also letting the people who I know and trust and um, can show up for me and want to show up for me, letting them do that, continuing to lean into everything that I love, embracing this 26 year, allowing myself to still be a grandma, but not, let the rest of the 20s get away from me. Like, I want to take advantage of being this young. And part of doing that is me starting a YouTube channel, is me, wearing what I want to wear, which you can do at any age, by the way. Again, all are welcome here. If you are older, like if you are older than like 25, please comment down below what you would tell your 20 to 25-year-old self, because I need the advice. Like, I hope this helps other people, but this is personal. This is for me, selfishly asking. If you are over 25, if you are over 30, please comment down below what you learned in your 20s, like what you went through in your 20s. Let me know if you also experienced grief or loss or anything traumatic or dramatic, whatever you're comfortable sharing. You don't have to, you don't have to put your business out there. No pressure, but I do, like I said, I love listening to people's stories. I love, knowing that people have also been through very hard things, because it helps me to keep going. Like, it helps me to be able to look at people and be like, wow, I had no idea. Like, you don't look like what you go through. I kind of love that quote, because there are people who throughout this past year have been so amazed that I still travel and that I still go to events and concerts, and I'm still living my life and I'm still enjoying my life. And I think as a society, we have this picture that grief can only look one way. And I'm here to break that. I'm here to say that you do not have to be depressed every single day. There's nothing wrong with having the moments of depression. There's nothing wrong with having the days where you can't get out of bed. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what I do think there is something wrong if you stay stuck in it. If you allow that to literally stop you from living and to hold you back from doing the things that you want to do, to to not try at least to pick yourself back up, like, was you have to, like, we don't have a choice. Like, we kind of, I don't, I just don't want to stay stuck, and I want to encourage, well, we do have a choice, which we all know. You can choose to stay stuck, or you can choose to try to keep it moving. And it's hard. It is exhausting. It is hard. It is draining. Nobody said the road was going to be easy. Again, all those songs are so deep in me, you guys. I don't believe he brought me this far. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. I was trying to think of the word. I was trying to think of the word. I was like, I don't believe he brought me this far to something. I knew it was there. This is why I really am gonna try to not do I'm gonna try to do these without looking too much at my notes, because I want you guys to feel like, again, I don't want this to be super serious. I don't want this to be super stuffy. I want you guys to see my personality, and I do love the idea of doing all that on video. And so it's harder with the podcast, obviously, because you guys can't see me, but on here, you can see me. You can hear me make mistakes. I'm not going to edit these much, if at all, to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm not going to do any heavy editing. Any mistakes I make, any of my rambling, I'm probably going to leave most of it in. And so, but yeah, that has been a little bit about my 25th year. It has been crazy. It has been fun. It has been extremely hard. I have had the worst days of my life this year, of my entire life, all 25 years of it, which is not long at all, but it's been so hard. But I really do want to encourage, even if it's just one person who sees this, that you can still there is life after trauma. There is life after devastation. There is life after grief. But you have to decide, you have to make the conscious effort and the decision to embrace it. You have to do that. Me telling you how I've done it or I'm trying to do it, what has worked for me is only going to do so much. Hopefully, it does inspire you. Hopefully, it does motivate you. Hopefully, it does make you feel like you have a friend. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's your choice. I had to make the conscious decision to keep getting up and going to work every day. I had to make the conscious decision to, you know, still keep, and going to the events that I really love. Like I love concerts. Not like I don't go to stuff just to go to it, but the stuff I wanted to go to, I had to go to by myself. I don't have my built-in best friend anymore. My mom was my built-in best friend, and yes, I do have other people in my life that I can ask to go with me. But a lot of, again, my taste is a little bit older in a lot of areas, and so what I like everybody my age or in my friend group isn't really into. So I had to embrace going places by myself, which I was already used to doing, but even more so now because my mom was always down to go with me wherever. And like I said, I do still have family and friends who will go with me, but everyone's in different places. I'm single. I don't have kids. If I want to go to Africa tomorrow, bye. I'm going. You know what I mean? So it's like everyone's in such different places. And I really want to use the rest of my 20s to be in my 20s. I don't want to think so hard. And yes, it is important to plan for your future, to, to set yourself up for success later in life. But I want to be present in the age that I'm in. I think once as close as you get closer to 30, for some reason, we feel like we are old. We feel like, we're getting older, but you're so freaking young. If you are in your 20s and you're watching this, even if you do have kids, you can still have fun. If you're still married, you can have even more fun. Hello. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Like, like there's so many, like, there's just so much that we can do in our 20s. And if you are going through a quarter life crisis, do not let it stop you from enjoying your life. Go find something fun to do. Go find something that makes you laugh. I think that has been something that's really, really helped me through grief this year as well. Because my mom, sorry, I keep looking at my microphone to make sure it's on. My mom loved to laugh. Like everything was funny. She made everything a joke. Like not in like a annoying way, but she loved to laugh. She loved comedians. The last show that we went to go see was Steve Martin and Martin Short. Like I think that says a lot about my mom. The last show we went to was to go see Steve Martin. Like, you know what I mean? So my mom loved to laugh because she had been through so much. And she always used to say either people who have gone through as much as she had, again, we fall on opposite ends of the spectrum. Either they're the people who find the joy and the laughter in the things that happen, and there are people who only choose to see the bad. And as cheesy as it is, I'm trying to see the good. And I don't want to live the rest of my life like, I don't want the rest of my life to be a sob story. Yes, these videos are going to be sad because I'm going to be talking about grief in almost all of my videos. But, the more videos I make and the more I talk and the more I think about where I want this channel to go, the more I'm thinking about, I really think a lot of the emphasis is going to be on me taking the good with the bad, and me working through it and literally living it in real time, which I think is going to be cool for whoever watches this to see. I'm doing this in real time. I'm only 1 year in without my mom, which is basically nothing. I have my whole life to go, you know? And so that's my little quarter life crisis for you guys. I'll probably do more videos on a quarter life crisis in general. I'm going to do more videos on being 26. I'm going to do more videos on getting closer to 30. I'm excited to get older. I'm not rushing it at all. Like I said, I want to be in my 20s. I want all the messiness, chaos, confusion, ups and downs. And that what's crazy is because I've already been through so much young. With most people in my life, or most people going through in their 20s, I've kind of already been through because I grew up fast. And so right now I want to have fun. Girls just want to have fun, and there's still a lot that I'm going through, but like I said, I did have to go through a lot pretty young, and so I learned a lot of lessons that people learn in their 20s. I learned a lot of that like 18 or 17 to like 21, 22ish, and so I made already made a lot of mistakes. I've already learned a lot of life lessons. I already gained hopefully a little bit of wisdom that I can share with you guys, which is why I started the podcast in general. My podcast, if you don't know, is just on all things adulting. It is navigating your 20s. It is about work, school, health, finance, relationships, confidence, independence, faith, um, all different adulting things that you sometimes don't have someone to talk about that stuff with as you get older. And a lot of things that people just don't warn us about. We are not well prepared as a society for our 20s. I just want to say that. School does not teach you anything about life, like at all. At all. I think the only beneficial thing for me with school, or the main beneficial thing for me with school, was making friends. That was pretty much it. I mean, and maybe time management, productivity. But like as far as the classes themselves, and I know that a lot of people get a lot of value from school. I did. I mean, we all did. All of us got an education at some point, even if you didn't go to college or whatever your situation is. Being in school has its value, but I'm saying like, no, is this just a lot of stuff about life that people don't tell you and people don't talk about? And I am grateful for social media because these things are a lot more talked about now, and I'm excited to talk about it a lot more. But I hope that you guys got something from this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Check me out on Instagram. My Instagram is at Thoughts by Mara. You can see a lot of my content over there. Like I said, I love taking pictures so much. It is one of my creative outlets that has literally saved my life. When I tell you, I'll do a depression video very soon. But it's so heavy to talk about a lot of that stuff, and recording a lot of videos about grief already. I don't like it. It's hard to talk about that stuff, which is why I want to make sure that I'm balancing it out. I don't want my whole channel to just be sad. You know, um, I want it to be like, yeah, these bad things happened in my life, but here's how I'm dealing with them. Here's how I'm choosing. Again, you got to make that conscious effort, that decision to move forward. I hope that you guys got something from this video. If you did, please let me know down below. And I will talk to you guys in my next one. Bye.